Chapter 13. Tai Sirol Park, Singapore, 24 hours earlier. 3, 4, 5. Eddie counted as he stood by the window in the upstairs foyer looking down the driveway. There were 5 cars in the motorcade. 4, really, if you didn't count the minivan transporting all the maids bringing up the rear. Auntie Catherine and her family had just flown in from Bangkok, and Eddie was surprised there were so few cars in their convoy. In the lead was a white Mercedes S-Class with diplomatic license plates, obviously provided by the Thai embassy, but the other cars were a random assortment: a BMW X5 SUV behind the Benz, an Audi and that looked at least 5 years old, and that last car he didn't even have a clue what it was. It was some non-European four-door sedan, something that didn't register on his list of acceptable vehicles to be seen in. Yesterday, when he had arrived with his family from Hong Kong, his executive assistant Stella had arranged a fleet of 6 matching Carpathian grey Range Rovers, making for an impressive entrance as the Cheng family pulled up to the front door of Tysdale Park. Today he felt almost embarrassed for Auntie Catherine and her clan. Her husband, MC Tuscan Akara, was one of the descendants of King Mongkut, and Eddie remembered every detail of his last visit to Thailand when he was 19, as if it was yesterday. The sprawling compound of historic villas set in a garden paradise on the banks of the Chao Phraya River, the way his cousins James, Matt, and Adam had 3 servants each that would prostrate at their feet as if they were little gods ready to attend to their every little whim. The fleet of forest green BMW idling in the front courtyard, ready to take them to the polo club, the tennis club, or any of Sukhumvit's hottest dance clubs, and Jessian, that sexy cousin of theirs who went down on him in the upstairs toilet of a pizza parlor in Hue Hin one night. So why were the Akaras pulling in such a ragtag bunch of cars? And wait a minute, what the hell was happening outside? Sanjit, the butler, and the entire household staff, including the Gurkha guards, were all dressed in their crisp uniforms and assembling along the front driveway. And Aling and Auntie Victoria were also part of the greeting party. Fuck, what hadn't they done? Why hadn't they done this for his family when they arrived yesterday? Eddie was annoyed to see that his parents had gone outside too, and he was determined that he would under no circumstance join them. Thank goodness Fiona had taken the kids to the zoo, otherwise they would surely want to be part of this idiocy and make the Akaras feel like they were truly hot shit. He ducked out of view and hid in the service hallway, waiting for everyone to come upstairs, knowing it was always the custom at Tysdale Park for guests to be served iced Logan tea in the drawing room when they first arrived. 2 waiters passed by, rolling cocktail trolleys filled with glassware and large silver samars of tea. Mystified by Eddie's lurking in the hallway, he glared at them and hissed, "You didn't see me, I'm not here." When Eddie began to hear voices come up the stairs, he ambled into the drawing room with his hands nonchalantly tucked into the pockets of the salmon-coloured Rubinacci trousers. Auntie Cat was the first to arrive at the top of the grand staircase, chattering away excitedly with his mother in that distinctive convent schoolgirl lilt of hers. "What a surprise to see you and Malcolm out front. I thought you weren't arriving until this evening." That was the plan, but Eddie managed to fly all of us down on a private jet yesterday. "Wah, come home," Catherine remarked as a waiter approached from bearing a silver tray filled with tall glasses of iced Logan tea. Eddie studied his aunt for a moment as she sat down on a divan next to his mother, marveled at how different the sisters looked. Auntie Cat's stocky, athletic physique was enviable for a woman in her 70s, and in such contrast to his other aunties with their bony, aristocratically malnourished frames. Unfortunately, she did take after her sisters in her fashion sense. On a charity day, Eddie might have politely described her style as eccentric. Today, she was just looking god-awful in the boxy purple silk pantsuit, obviously tailor-made and obviously several decades old, mud-coloured Clarks, open-toed walking sandals, and the same pair of Sophie Loren bluish tint bifocals she had seen her wear for decades. Catching sight of him, Catherine exclaimed, "My goodness, Eddie, I hardly recognize you. You look like you've lost a bit of weight." "Thank you for noticing, Auntie Cat. Yes, I've lost some 20 pounds in the last year." "Good for you. And your mother tells me you flew the whole family down yesterday while I was attending the World Economic Forum in Davos, as an official delegate and my client, Mikhail Gordievsky, one of the Russia's richest men, insists that I borrow his Boeing business jet. When he heard about Almar's heart attack, it's such a huge pain. I thought it was a pity that I was the only passenger. So instead of flying straight to Singapore, we made a detour to Hong Kong so I could pick up the whole family. Catherine turned to her sister. You see, Alex, I don't know what you keep complaining about. Your son is so thoughtful. Yes, very thoughtful, Alex added, trying to block out the memory of Eddie screaming at her over the phone yesterday. You have 2 hours to get everyone to Hong Kong airport or I'm leaving without you. My special friend is doing us a very special favour by lending us his very special plane, And for God's sake, please pack some decent clothes and jewelry this time. I don't want you to be mistaken for a mainland tourist when I'm with you in Singapore. Last time we had such bad service at Crystal Jade Palace because of the way you looked. How did you all fly down? Eddie asked. I was wondering what kind of private jet the Akaras had these days. Well, Thai Airways was running a special just for today. If you buy 3 economy tickets, the 4th person flies for free. So it was quite a saving for a whole lot. But then when we got to the airport and they realised it was your Uncle Tuscan, they upgraded him to first class. Eddie couldn't believe his ears. The Karas never flew commercial, not since Uncle Thaksin had become a special attaché to the Thai Air Force back in the 1970s. Just then Eddie spied his uncle entering the drawing room alongside his father. It had been years since he had last seen his uncle, but he appeared not to have aged one bit. He was older than his father, but looked about a decade younger. His perpetually tanned face was wrinkle-free, and he still had that ramrod straight posture and robust gait of a man accustomed to seeing and being seen. If only his dad wasn't getting so stooped, and if only he dressed more like Uncle Thaksin. Eddie had always admired his uncle's dapper style, and on visits to Bangkok during his teens, he made a point of sneaking into his uncle's closet and checking out all the labels on the clothes. No small feat when there were so many pesky servants lurking everywhere. Today, Uncle Tuscan was decked out in impeccable, tailored, pale orange dress shirt. Judging from the Sea Island cotton, it was almost likely Ed and Ravencroft's, worn with a pair of navy blue chinos and highly polished pair of monk strap loafers. With a gazina and girdling all Edward Green, he would have asked him later, and most importantly, what watch was Uncle Thaksin sporting today. He glanced at his sleeve cuffs, expecting to see Patek, Matron, or Berger, but was horrified to see an Apple Watch strapped to his wrist. Dear God, how the mighty had fallen. Behind Thaksin came his son Adam, whom Eddie did not know all that well because he was more like a decade younger, the baby of the family. Adam was slightly built and had delicately chiseled, almost feline features. He looked like one of those Thai pop idols and seemed to dress the part in his skinny jeans and vintage Hawaii shirt. Eddie was not impressed, but wait a minute, who was this sexy thing that he could definitely swipe right for? Sauntering up the stairs was a girl with alabaster skin and waist-length black hair. Here at last was someone with style. The girl was wearing a sleeveless ice blue Amelia Wickstead jumpsuit. Blue suede ankle boots and casually slung on her shoulder was the sort of handbag that Eddie was sure had a 3-year waiting list. This must be Adam's new wife, Princess Pia, whom his mother couldn't stop gushing about after she attended their wedding last year. Uncle Thaksin, so good to see you. And Adam, long time no see. Eddie patted his cousin on the back enthusiastically. Adam turned to his wife and said, This is Auntie Alex's eldest son Eddie, who also lives in Hong Kong. Princess Pia, it is an honor to meet you. Bending forward, Eddie grasped her hand and bowed to give it a kiss. Adam snorted almost imperceptibly, while Pia burst into giggles at Eddie's ridiculous overblown gesture. Please, it's just Pia. Only the children and grandchildren of the king use any sort of formal title. I'm just a distant relation. I do believe you're being very modest. I mean, you've been given the Pearl Suite. What's that? Pia asked. Before Eddie could answer, Adam cut in. It's this bedroom with all the walls are inlaid with mother of pearl. Really remarkable. Yes, it's that vast suite of rooms, perfect for families, really. My wife and 3 children usually stay in there when we visit. Eddie couldn't help adding. Which room are you in now? Adam asked. We're in the yellow room. It's very cozy. Pia's brow frowned. Adam, that doesn't sound right to me. We must move into another bedroom so Eddie and his family can have this larger suite. But you are our honored royal guest. You must have the Pearl Suite. I didn't mean to imply anything with my comment. Constantine, Augustine, and Callis are having loads of fun sharing the same bed. and Fiona even managed to get 3 hours of sleep last night. Oh dear, I couldn't feel comfortable in the Pearl suite knowing that. Maybe could you take care of that, Pia insisted. Of course, I'll have a word with Arlene the minute I see her, Adam replied. Eddie smiled graciously. You're both so kind now. Where are your brothers? I thought the whole family was coming today. There's an 18-wheeler full of seafood awaiting them. Adam gave him a puzzle. P and I were the only ones who came in with Mum and Dad. Jimmy, as you know, is a doctor, so he can't get away for work so easily, and Maddie is on a skiing trip with his family in Verbier. Oh, I was just in Switzerland too. I was at Davos, an official delegate at the World Economic Forum. Oh, I was at Davos 2 years ago, Pia said. Really? What were you doing there? I was giving talk to IG. Well, Eddie looked momentarily stunned as Adam proudly proclaimed, Pia's a virologist based at the World Health Organization in Bangkok. She specializes in mosquito-borne viruses like malaria and dengue fever, and she became one of the leading authorities on tropical diseases. Pia smiled bashfully. Oh, Adam's exaggerating. I'm no authority. I'm just part of the team. Now that man over there looks like he's an authority. Eddie turned to Professor Orne in his surgical scrubs, entered the drawing room. Catherine got up from her divan and rushed up to him. Francis, so good to see you. How's Mummy today? The vitals are stable at the moment. Can we go in and see her now? She's in and out of consciousness. I will let 4 visitors in, but 2 at a time and only for 5 minutes each. Alex looked at her sister. Go on, take Taxin, Adam and Pia with you. I've already spent time with her this morning. I haven't seen Amar yet. Today, Eddie cut in. Dr. Orne, surely one more visitor won't make any difference. Okay, I'll let you in for a few minutes, but the rest have come out only for a few minutes. We don't want to add any more strain to her today, the doctor said. Of course, I won't say a word. Eddie, will you say a little prayer for Amma when you're in the room with her? Auntie Victoria suddenly asked. Sure, I can do that, Eddie promised. The 5 of them headed down the corridor to Suyi's private quarters. The sitting room adjoining her bedroom had been transformed into an narcotic care unit, with half the room turned into a clinical prep area and the half filled with various medical machines. Several doctors and nurses huddled over a bank of computer screens, analysing every blip in their VVIP patients' vital signs, while Suyi's Thai ladies' maids hovered just by the doorway, ready to spring into action should their mistress bat an eyelash. The minute they saw Prince Taksin approach, they dropped on the floor, prostrating themselves. Eddie felt his gut tighten in a mixture of awe and envy as he noticed that his aunt and uncle walked right past the ladies, not even noticing the gesture. Fucky fuck. They couldn't have been born into that family. While Catherine and Taksin were in Suyi's bedroom, Eddie waited in the hallway with Adam and Pia, taking the seat next to Pia on a velvet Woolman settee. He whispered, so I take you had an IG World badge. Pia was momentarily confused. I'm sorry, are you referring to Davos? Yes. When you were at Davos 2 years ago, what kind of badge did they give you? The white one with the blue line at the bottom, or the plain one with a hologram sticker? I'm afraid I can't remember what it looks like. What did you do with it? I wore it, Pia replied patiently, wondering why her husband's cousin was so weirdly fixated on this badge. I mean, what did you do with the badge after the conference? I must have thrown it away or left it in the hotel room. Eddie stared at her in disbelief. His Davos badge was folded and placed in a special pouch along with his prized Roger W. Smith watch and his precious sapphire and platinum cufflinks. He couldn't wait to get it framed the minute he returned to Hong Kong. He was quiet for a moment before turning his attention to Adam. So what are you up to these days? Do you work or do you live a life of leisure? Adam felt like grimacing. He was too well brought up to show any reaction. Why did so many people assume that just because he had a royal child he didn't have to work for a living? I'm in F&B. I have a restaurant at Central Embassy, which is the newest mall in town, and I also have a few gourmet food trucks that serve authentic Austrian Wurststuhl and snacks like bratwurst, currywurst, and Käskörner. You know, those Austrian sausages filled with cheese. A sausage truck, you actually make profit from that, Eddie asked. We do quite well. We park the trucks in all the nightlife spots in the city. People love to get a snack late at night after they leave the bars and clubs. The sausages help to soak up the alcohol, Pia added. Drunk people snack. How lucrative, Eddie said with a not so subtle hint of condescension. He was waiting for Adam or Peter to ask him what he did for a living when his Aunt Adam came out of the bedroom. She was sick, but you can go in, Catherine said to her son. Catherine sank down on the settee next to Eddie, suddenly looking totally deflated. How is she today? Eddie asked. Hard to tell, Frances said that with the morphine drip she wasn't in any pain. I've just never seen her look so frail, Catherine said, her voice cracking a little. Taskin placed a comforting hand on her shoulder so she continued to I should have come down in November like I meant to, and the boys. Why didn't we make them come down more often? Auntie Cat, you should go to your room and rest for a little while, Eddie suggested in a gentle tone. He became uncomfortable whenever women get emotional around him. Yes, I think that's a good idea, Catherine said, getting up from the settee. I'm going to call Jimmy and Maddie. We'll get them to fly over immediately. There's not a moment to waste, Tuxton said to her as they walked off. Not a moment to waste, Eddie thought to himself, but Auntie Cat had done nothing but waste her time. She had spent so many decades away, and his cousins already knew their grandmother, and now Alma was dying. They were finally going to show their faces. It was too little too late, or could there be another motive behind all this? With Akara's tight on money these days? Was this why they came down on a commercial flight? He couldn't imagine their humiliation, a Thai prince flying in economy class, and they only brought 5 maids with them this time, and Adam had to run these pathetic little hot dog trucks. It was all beginning to make sense. Was Uncle Tuxton urgently summoning all his sons to Singapore so they could get their hands on Tysdale Park? Everyone knew that Nicky had been disinherited and that Amar would never leave any of the Leong cousins Tysdale Park when they already owned most of Malaysia. The only contenders left were the Akara's boys, his brother Alistair and him. Amar had never thought much of Alistair, especially after he tried to bring Kitty Pong home, but the Akaras, she always had a soft spot for them because they were half Thai. She loved her Thai food and her Thai skills and her creepy Thai maids, everything from the goddamn country. But he wasn't going to let those Akaras win. They lived their lavish, snotty royal lives and only deigned to come for short visits every 3 or 4 years, while he made a point of visiting his grandma at least once a year. Yes, he was the only one who deserved the deed to Tysdale Park. Adam and Peter emerged from the bedroom, and Eddie immediately went in. There was a moment of his time to waste. See, canopied bed with its ornately carved art Navarre headboard had been replaced by one of the most state-of-the-art hospital bed with an electronic mattress that constantly shifted the patient's body weight to prevent bed sores. Aside from the oxygen tube at her nose and a few tubes coming out of various veins in her arms, she looked so serene lying there under her sumptuous lotus silk bedsheet. A minor heart monitor on a stand pulsed quietly by her side. Its screen displayed her ever-changing heart rate. Eddie stood at the foot of the bed, wondering whether he should say a little prayer or something. It seemed slightly absurd, since he didn't really believe in God, but he did promise Auntie Victoria. He kneeled down beside his grandmother, folded his hands, and just as he closed his eyes, he heard a sharp voice saying Cantonese, "Nei Xiao Mui Ye. Nei Xiao Mui Ye. What on earth are you doing?" Nei Xiao Mat Ye. Nei Xiao Mat Ye. That's what I was meant to say. Eddie opened his eyes and saw his grandmother staring at him. Fuck, I mean, Amma, you funny way. I was about to say prayer for you. Nei Tai Sina. Don't you start on me. I'm so sick of all these people trying to pay for me. Victoria kept sending that Bishop Seabade seemed to drone his idiotic prayer every morning when I was at the hospital. I was too weak to chase him out at the time. Eddie laughed. If you want, I can make sure Bishop C isn't allowed to see you ever again, please. Were you awake with Adam and Peter came in? Were you awake when Adam and Peter came in? No, Adam is here. Yes, and he's brought his wife. She's pretty in that Thai sort of way. How about his brothers? No, they aren't here. I'm told Jimmy is much too busy working to come down. I guess since he's a plastic surgeon, there are too many urgent facelifts and nose jobs that requires attention right now. So you smile slightly at his comment. And do you know where Maddie is? What Maddie is doing? Tell me. He's on holiday with his family, skiing in Switzerland. Can you imagine? I happened to be in Switzerland to attend a very important conference with the world's most important businessmen, political leaders, and Pharrell but I dropped everything and flew straight to Singapore the minute I heard you were ill. Eddie looked at her heart monitor and saw that it was accelerating from 80 to 95 beats per minute. See you later, Albrisa. Who else is here? Our whole family came down from Hong Kong, even Cecilia and Alistair. Where are they? Everyone's at the zoo right now. Fiona, Constantine, Augustus, Carlos, Cecilia, and Jake. Our talk got them special VIP tickets for that River Safari thing, but they will be back by tea time. Uncle Farrell gets in later tonight, and I'm told that Nikki's arriving tomorrow. Nikki came from New York, so you muttered. Yes, that's what I hear. So you remained silent. Eddie observed that the heart rate on her monitor was rising rapidly, 100, 105, 110 beats per minute. You don't want to see him, do you? Eddie asked. Suyi simply closed her eyes. A lone tear streamed down the side of her face. Eddie glanced uneasy at the monitor. 120, 130. I don't blame you. I'm not showing up here like this now. After all he's done to betray wishes. No, Suyi finally said. Her heart rate suddenly jumped to 145 beats per minute. Eddie looked at her in alarm. When the number hit 150, the harmonic began emitting a high-pitched beep, and Professor Un rushed into the room along with another doctor. Elevating too rapidly, one of the doctors said in alarm, should we defibrillate? No, I'm going to give her a slow bolus of digoxin. Eddie, please clear the room, Professor Un ordered. As two nurses rushed into assist, Eddie backed out just as his aunt Victoria entered the sitting room. Is everything okay? Don't go in now. I think Mama's having another heart attack. I mentioned Nikki and she began to freak out. Victoria moaned. Why on earth did you mention Nikki? She wanted to know who was here and who was coming. I can tell you one thing though. Alma does not wish to see Nikki. She does not even want him to set foot in this house. It was the last thing she told me. Thanks for listening.